Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez, joining you from live of a well-made bed with a bunch of guns everywhere, because that's the way I want to live my life, and you can't tell me not to. I'm out of the closet where I had the guns, and I'm living my life the way I'm supposed to. Joining me tonight, he's been dry firing lately, and his urologist says it's fatal. It's Robert Wyatt.
I got nothing. I got nothing. Although it has been fun. I
Shot.
kind of gave up at the end of the season. It's actually nice going out and dry firing once in a while. It's been fun.
Yeah, I kind of got a little bit of the bug too. I was dry firing today, and he fell down the stairs and into a pile of workman's comp. It's Jared Stepp.
I wish. Everybody always talks about how workman's comp is so great. And I've gotten workman's comp twice now. And both times, dog shit.
Yeah, it's not like workman's comp is great for people who literally want nothing. Like they have no ambition.
Both.
They want like, what do you want? It's like, I just want to stay home. What do you want to do when you stay home? Scroll on my phone and watch TV, and
Melt my
that's
brain.
milk my and you're fine with just eating cup of noodles for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's what I want. Those people, they love workman's comp. They love it.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
did not. I was not a fan. Oh, Robert's the boss, so he probably hates workman's comp.
I I I hate the government. So I mean, it just goes without saying that I don't want to pay anybody anything. So, but fuck no. Like I mostly took the week off between Christmas and New Year's, and there was like 2 days where I didn't have anything to do, and I'm just sitting around the house, and I'm like, I'm ready to slit my wrists because this sucks. I have no and Andrea, like we figured out during COVID. So like before COVID happened, I had I had always had it in my head. I'm like, I want to stay home. I want to be the guy who gets to work at home. I think that'd be great. And then COVID happened, and I was stuck at the house for like 2 weeks when everybody had to stay home. And I was ready to kill somebody, potentially myself.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of staying home was like, just put the gun in my mouth right now. It was horrible. I
So
can't.
it's actually
Oh,
funny because every single year, one, police activity goes up a bunch with Christmas because Christmas holiday is a time that's very emotional for a lot of people. And so there's good emotions and there's lots of bad emotions. It's a time of extreme emotion. And then also, with all the kids out of school, with the parents having to deal with that, with all of this stuff, there's like a million extra stressors in
sure.
life. And so it always gets bonkers for police land. For like the month of December is always a shit show just because the kids are out, they're running amok, they're stealing shit, they're doing all this crazy stuff. The parents are mad about it. The parents have to provide things, so the parents are stealing shit. And then December's always an absolute disaster. We have had, I think, 4 or 5 officer involved shootings in the past 5 days
Holy smokes.
here in
Wow.
Salt Lake County. And
That
everybody's just like, holy shit, something's in the water. We've had a bunch of suicides. And so one of the new girls, she was all excited because she'd never seen
she'd
a
never seen a
gunshot
dead body,
wound.
and she's like, "Hot damn!"
She's seen a bunch. We have a bunch of dead bodies in the new place I work, but a lot of times they're just old people who just keel over and die,
Oh, that's no
which
fun.
honestly is not that fun. It's just kind of just like, yep, that looks like a wax person laying on the ground. But this was her first headshot, and it was a dude who got in an argument with his girlfriend. Girlfriend went to the bathroom. He grabs the shotgun, puts the barrel on his eye, and just goes click and blows off the side of his head. And
Wow.
it was funny because she was all excited and she's like, wow, that was a good one. I'm like, yeah, that was a good one. That was a really good one.
You're
Most
gonna
of the
fit
time
in
with
real well around here.
Yeah, most of the time you get like headshots with 9 millimeter and they're not that exciting because you just have, a little hole over here, a slightly bigger hole over here. Not really a whole lot, but like that
Yeah.
shotgun,
The thing that's weird
that
You know,
that
about
did it.
that
the
is, I
fun
mean, like, but like with that much pressure going into the head, I never understood this until I actually saw it. Like your eyes pop out. I mean, they have
Yeah.
the potential to boop, pop
Yep.
out because there's so much pressure. And I was like, when I heard that, I'm like, well, I got to see that.
You look like a
And-
little chipmunk, just
Yeah.
or a
So-
chihuahua, better said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see a few things of those happening, and you're just like, all right, I've had that experience. That's amazing. The one thing too about like killing yourself, like in an argument with your girlfriend, is
You win.
that well, yeah, like you win, but you're not
Finally,
you're
Last
not
word.
after that,
you're not
after
around
2,000 arguments.
you're not around to be like I told you so. Like if you could come back like when the revive pill hit happens, like if people had like 1 or 2 extra lives, like they hit the green mushroom in Mario, and they decide to burn one of them on a suicide with their girlfriend just so they can get the I told you so sort of thing. Then it'd be a different story. There'd be plenty of people who'd be like, I told you, bam, they
There.
killed themselves.
The girlfriend's sobbing over the dead body, then they respawn and just start emoting over
Yeah,
the.
yeah, I started voting like I told you. I told you, dummy. You stupid brat. Anyways, things I've done so far. HK came out with a new VP9. I didn't order one.
Yet.
I was gonna ask.
No, like they looked at it and essentially what they went and they talked HK USA, which is now its own company. Think of like FN America or CZ USA, kind of in a way, but now they can tell HK in Germany, this is what we'd like to make, and this is the tooling we would like to require to be set over here so we can manufacture things in the United States. And so, but I think all the engineering team is still over there in HK Germany, so they came up with a new VP9, and essentially all they did was take their
That's what we
VP9.
needed.
Yeah, well, that's what we need. Well, it's what HK needed because they basically took the VP9, the old model, and the SK, the compact model. They got rid of the SK because they have their new CC9, that's their new subcompact gun. And then for their full-size gun, that was more like a G45 Glock 19X. They made a Glock 17, so 4.5-inch barrel and full-size grip, and then they made that's the F, and then they made their VP9K, which is a Glock 19 size gun, so 15 round frame and the same barrel length as the old VP9, and then deleted the finger grooves, flared the mag well slightly, and essentially the same slide, same barrel, all that jazz, and then brought that
Does
to
it
market.
still have the paddle release?
Still has the paddle release. So I'm not sure what
Huh.
they've done with that, if they'll come out with the B. They'll probably come out with their B models because their B models have been successful for them. So they have their
What's a B model?
A B model is a push button release.
Oh yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, so they have the push button paddle, and the paddle doesn't bug me except from the VP9 because the way the grip is, I really have to get my finger really far back to release it. It seems like they kind of like made it farther back so that you could like get to it easier with your thumb, and then everyone else who's been using the paddle release is like, oh man, this is super far back to get to. So kind of weird. I was sitting there looking at them and I was like, all right, well, if this is like a modular chassis or something to switch into, fine, but it's just kind of a little 10-year refresh on the guns, and if they become super cheap, then like maybe, but kind of like whatever. It is what it is.
There's
but
not really any significant improvements to make you want to upgrade.
No.
It's a couple tiny quality of life things, but it's more of a DLC than a new gun.
Yeah, like if they would have put an O-ring on the barrel of one of those, I would have been like, okay, cool. So now we got this hyper accurate O-ring version of the gun with the step chamber. I mean, like, sweet. That would be
Step
pretty
chamber.
sweet. Yeah. Little pressure
Step chamber. Are you stuck?
What's a step chamber?
A step chamber is where you have kind of like a sealing ring inside the chamber. You'll see the sealing ring on the brass. HK barrels normally have that. It's one of the things that Walther has that kind of makes the gun pretty freaking accurate, is that they just have a little step in there to make sure that you're kind of sealing around the fattest part of the bullet, kind of around the case. And
Interesting.
so you can do that. And so like you'll get like a little bit plus velocity. You definitely get more consistent pressure out of the barrel, and so it kind of makes the guns feel like they recoil a little bit more. The HK doesn't because the HKs are generally a little bit heavier. But yeah, they like you get like if you got like this really accurate gun that was just like a VP9 with like an O-ring barreled on it to seal it up and all that jazz and an optics ready, then I'd been like, okay, cool, that's worth an upgrade. But man, those VP9s are going for cheap right now. They're like $450 almost everywhere. So if you want to go ham, feel free. You can go out there and grab one. But speaking of which, HKs and other stuff. Went out there and bought some Talon grips. skateboard tape,
Yay.
Talon grips on the guns.
So
And
go ahead.
and kind of the one things about these is like getting them to stick correctly. And then I decided to get a new gunsmithing armor tool that I haven't had before, and I spent a whopping $10, and it is freaking the greatest thing since sliced bread. A heat gun.
Oh, geez, I thought that was something else. Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's what. Well, it's my homemade cheap lightsaber I ordered off of eBay. This thing gets up to
Lightsaber.
like 500 degrees, and it's used to like melting the insulation off of wires, so you can put it down or
Oh.
whatever. But $10 over at Walmart, you can go check it out. But when you heat up the glue on these bad boys and then press them in with your hands, it really sticks. And the edges stick,
Yeah.
and the edges don't peel up or anything like that. So I have some on my P30 here, and on the
Dude,
7.
at 500 degrees, I mean, do your hands stick as well?
So it is advisable, like, if you stick it on one point for long enough, of course it's going to be crazy, crazy hot. So you just kind of run it over it and kind of move the heat around. But you definitely want to wear gloves. So I would put it on there. I put some gloves on my hands. I pressed it, stuck it, and then pinched the spots like around the edges and the seals to get them to really stick on. And it's well on there. So it feels fantastic. But yeah, like it was definitely hot enough that it would burn my hands if I was clamping onto the gun with my hands to make sure that the seal was perfect on everything. So go ahead, Robert.
I was just gonna say, like, it's funny because just yesterday, so I like a long time ago, I just bought a thing of skateboard tape. It was like just for one deck,
Yeah.
and I've been using that for the past like 10 years, and it works fantastic. That heat gun that you showed, Andrea actually has a very similar one that she uses for her artwork and stuff, and I didn't realize it got that hot, but
Yeah, they're spicy hot.
yeah. So I mean, 'cause it's really easy just to go and just like with the skateboard tape I have, it's easy just to go and cut that out yourself. So why not just buy one deck of it? I mean, how long does that stuff actually last?
I mean, it'll last a significant period of time. The decent thing about paying the 18 or $19 for the Talon grips is like this is all
Well, it's
one.
pretty cut, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
they'll
cussed.
last for years.
Yeah.
Because I did what Tom did, and I had one of the Talon grips, and I put it on my work gun, and I mean that's getting abused every single day.
Mhm.
And I put a set of Talon grips on there 4 years ago, and they're still good now.
I'm wondering if maybe like because I had it on a Glock a long time ago and it lasted like all of 3 months, and so I'm sort of wondering I probably did something wrong.
It might have been the heat gun thing. There's also like if there's oils on the grip when you apply it, it might not hold as well. There's a way you're supposed to like actually clean it with like isopropyl alcohol, let it dry, and then apply the grip, then heat it up. And if you do that step process, like it sticks on there for a long time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did with my last gun. And like I said, it was on there for years and it was still good. And
that's good to know.
they're nice. I like the Talon grips, especially just for work stuff where if you don't want to do the stippling, if you can't because it's not your gun, the Talon grips do a really good job, especially for me. The main reason why I got them was because it was for SWAT and we had to wear gloves on ops, which sucks shooting a pistol with gloves on. And so the Talon grips helped a lot with that, where actually it would bite into the gloves a lot more. And so I liked the Talon grips just for that reason. That was huge. That helped a lot.
Somebody used to make grips like that, but they were rubber. I mean, it was sticky rubber stuff. Same thing.
Yeah, Talon will make their granulate model and then the rubber model. And like the other part is like I run the medium on the Gen 5 Glock, which is a backplate, right? Because small is no backplate, medium is backplate. So they have one for the different size for Gen 5, medium, large, or whatever on there. So it's nice because they got a bunch of different models that'll fit, and even stuff for like this P30 with the large backstrap. And so like it's got P30's got finger grooves on it, so it has the areas that go around the finger grooves. Like it's a whole like nothing super high up on the gun. Like it's a whole kind of put together system.
Yeah.
That you can put
and like
on there.
you said, Robert, it's it's the same thing as the skateboard tape, but it's just nice. It's convenient. It looks good, and you don't have to cut shit out. You don't have to play homemaker.
Right,
And
right.
so, I mean, if you want to just do the skateboard tape, yeah, do that. That's cheaper. It's easier. You can repeat it as often as you want. I like the Talon grips though, just because it's easy. They're like 15, $20. It's not like it's crazy expensive,
Yep.
and they last
Well,
for a
it's
long time.
well, especially if I mean, from what you guys are saying, because I mean, like I went with the skateboard tape because I'm like, well, if I'm replacing these things every 3 months, then I'm sure as hell not going to spend the money
Right.
on
Yeah,
that.
No, absolutely.
And I had the same experience with some HK45 ones that were rubber back in the day when I got my first HK45. I put those
Yeah.
on there and then like it was slipping, it was kind of annoying. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. Some of the edges were peeling and the thing is just like the heat gun. The heat gun you can feel that press in and that glue kind of move around below.
It really changes it.
Yeah, it's like the $10 investment in a little wire heat gun is freaking awesome. But yeah, it's not a hair dryer, and like you can try like a hair dryer or something like that, but it does not get anywhere close to the kind of temperatures that you need to kind of stick these things on there.
Well, the other thing you can do is like, because I know I actually have, it's a heat gun from Harbor Freight. Same concept. It gets wicked hot though. I mean, it's more like in the 900 degree sort of whatever.
Yeah,
But I mean, you do this thing that everybody does. You find one of those coupons and buy their stuff for $5, which is
Yep.
functionally what it's worth anyway.
yeah,
I just did what you did, Robert. And my wife had a heat gun because she does stuff, I don't know, craft shit.
Mhm.
And so I steal hers. And now it's my heat gun because she never uses it anymore.
Right.
And I use it when I attach things and use it for random guns.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and-
I was yesterday. It really was
Did
just
you-
yesterday. I was doing it, and Andrew's like, "I've got this new thing." I'm like, "That's really cool."
Did you get anything else fun for Christmas, Tom?
I did get about one of these things. So this is the Gray Guns
A
flat
gun?
trigger for the P30.
Oh, right.
Oh, like,
So this like
God, that
I
is so ugly.
I would not recommend it for like a standard double action gun because the reason why there's curved triggers on double action guns is because so your finger can ride in a consistent place. Like
Yeah.
if I have this LEM and I already fire the trigger so the hammer's not cocked, it's pretty terrible because it's very far forward. I mean it's a
Mhm.
nice flat face trigger, but it's very far forward. But on the LEMs or like in a
Right.
single action mode, like when you start the prep and you actually get to the wall is you have a lot of leverage over that sear engagement, and then the brake is right at 90 degrees. It's pretty light that you can kind of prep through it, and then with the Gray Gun short reset, like it is a very short reset and a very nice, just clean brake on the gun. So like that $200 in the short reset kit and the I think it's like $95 for the trigger shoe. I got it on sale. They have the entire website for 20% off. Messing around with it, like it is phenomenal.
Those LEM P30s are so nice. I still need to buy one of those.
Yeah, and they're not crazy. They're not crazy expensive. The P30 stuff only gets expensive when you want to put a dot on it, and then when you want to ship it off
Yeah.
to Langdon or Wright Armory, and you're like
No,
$400 in to do it.
I'd have to just go the OG John Wick 1 build,
Yeah,
and that's what
night
I'd have to
sights,
get one of those.
LEM, and
Yeah.
night sights on there. Yeah, I mean that's
You
it re-
aim with your heart, Tom,
yeah.
not with the sights.
It
I
definitely
just
it definitely makes the P30 sing. Like the P30's fine and the regular trigger is fine, but having this flat face trigger on the gun, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, this feels. Once you take the prep out of the trigger and you actually start shooting it, it feels like a what was it like well-tuned kind of striker fired gun. It
You
feels
gotta
like you
get
have.
everybody and go shooting again.
Yeah, I mean that would be fun, and then having the freaking 507 comp on the bad boy, like ton of window. Iron sights are not intrusive at all in the whole system, and it's a pretty slick
I
it's a
just
slick little
I
gun.
just wish the trigger at rest didn't look so goofy.
No,
It's the aesthetic, right? That's all it is. I mean, everything you're saying makes perfect sense. It sounds like it's functional. It's really it's a plus thing, but the aesthetic of it's just like
It just looks too cyberpunk for you.
just a skosh. Just
Yeah,
a skosh.
I mean, if you had like one of the USPs and wrote it cocked and locked, or a P30S, and that had the manual
Well,
safety
see,
on the
yeah,
side and wrote it
like
cocked
right
and
now,
locked,
the way you have it, where it's like flat, where it's all flat where it should be,
yeah,
looks great.
yeah.
It looks awesome.
If you had it basically essentially there the entire time, it would be fantastic. And if you had a manual safety, but like these things break super clean, and so it would
Right.
be it would be cool. But on the P30, like it really kind of makes the P30 work, because the truth is the P30 is not, the LEMs are not double action guns. They are single action only guns, except for there's a lot of take up on the trigger. They're essentially a striker fired system, a precock striker fired system, like an M&P. Like it's essentially an M&P trigger. But if you
But
can,
they don't shoot when you drop them.
they don't shoot when you drop them, and you can put your thumb on the back of the hammer, and even if it's precocked, you
And
still
they light off
prevent.
primers.
And
They
they light off
all
primers.
primers.
Yep. So it's a pretty decent little system and setup. It's just a pricey one, especially with the optics cut and everything on it. Like it's a sweet.
That's staccato money right there, Tom.
It's almost staccato money. It's getting close to 40% of staccato money. So Robert,
What I do? Well, after we shit on it, the entire episode, Andrea for Christmas gave me one of those staccato Ace VR subscriptions. So that's been fun.
And
what's the unbiased, non-paid for review?
you returned and you must report.
It is fun. It's fun. It's just like that. Is it like this game changing thing? I don't think so. The thing that I noticed that I actually find a lot of value in is you have the immediacy of the results. And so in dry fire, you're like, okay, make sure that I'm really looking at these things. But this reports back and says, oh, you had an Alpha Charlie, and when you were swinging across to do that Blake drill, you torched one over the shoulder and you didn't get it. That's kind of cool. But it's more fun than anything else. And what I have found is that I actually spend more time dry firing in that game mode than I would normally.
Yep, there you go.
And there's a lot of value just in doing that. And then because the trigger on that gun is so fucking heavy, like, okay, I'm used to a 1.5 pound trigger, and these things are like 4.5. And
on the Ace VR STI
you
kind
can
of clone.
Yeah, you can
Staccato
tune
clone.
them and get them down there a little bit. Tim Herron has a video on how to do it, but it really forces you to actually have a good, solid working grip to keep that gun from, like, the dot or the gun or whatever from yawing all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't like
You can see the right to left movement very easily in the shooting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and because you're used to the gun lighting off at a certain trigger pound weight, I found it becomes very easy for me to want to, like, touch the trigger expecting it to go, but all of a sudden it's dragging off. And so, but I do that, and then I stop playing that or whatever. I let Dakota play with it, and I go use my regular gun, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gripping this gun a lot harder, and so it's fun. That's really what it comes to. I don't like the subscription model. I'm never going to get over that. It still bugs the shit out of me. But
does it come with like 6 months or like a year free when you buy it?
No, I don't know. I'm going to tell you no, because I don't know what Andrea did, and she bought the gun. It was a staccato gun and the subscription, and I never asked her how she did it, but probably not. Probably not.
The kind of the crazy thing is with it, like with the way that we spend money on gun stuff, like they could just come out with new accessories or new guns, and people would just hang around there or pay for DLC for like new optics that come out or whatever. Like, like almost think of it like they could run it like a holster company in a way. It's like, oh, this new optic came out, we got a model of it, we rendered it, we put it in the thing. It's $4.99 or whatever to get your optic on the gun, and like people would do that, and for like new content or whatever. The subscription service, the one thing with the subscription service is just like,
here, what's worse, subscription service or microtransactions?
I find a subscription service way worse.
What's a microtransaction?
Microtransaction would be like buying a small amount for like a little bit more content.
Yeah, so it's
Oh.
like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
it's
no.
like it's free, but in game you can't get a new stage, or you can't get a new red dot, or you can't get a new this unless you buy it for like 10,000 rupees. But rupees don't translate to real dollars in a normal sense. You have to buy the rupees and then you can use them in game, and so it's a way to disconnect you from the money. And
Right.
because
I
that's
get
what's
you.
taking over all the mobile games right now. It's all microtransactions, and now it's on the big AAA games now.
Yep.
And yeah,
I mean,
The
I would rather have that than be, because on a
I
microtransaction,
agree.
I've never billed for anything that I'm not using. But like on a subscription service, like all you do is get like a lot of these places just make money off of you just being billed for stuff that you did not use. Like think about when you used Hulu last, and you're just like, well, I've been watching this show on Netflix or whatever like that, and then it's just like, okay, well, like $21 came out of your account, and like you
Yeah.
never touched the thing.
So here's the thing that I noticed, and I've seen some of the forums talking about this. So one of the cool bits right now is the gun that she bought, the Staccato. It actually fits perfectly, like legit perfect, in my Shadow 2 holster on my belt. And so when I play the game, when I do the Ace VR thing, I'm drawing from the holster. I'm doing everything that I
That's
want.
nice.
That's kind of awesome. I
Yeah.
really, really like that. What's weird, and this is what I've just kind of had to accept, is it's a game, and so people have figured out how to game the game.
Yes.
And so you have these runs, like, so it has your leaderboard and stuff like that, and here's where you stack up on that and stuff like that. And you have some of these times, and I'm like, okay, I'm not a bad shooter, but how in the fuck are these guys like 2 times better than me? And I mean, some of them are really good. And you see, and it's probably a little bit of excuse making, but just bear with me. But then you read some of the forums, you're like, oh yeah, if you can point the gun at the A zone and just angle it down just slightly, so that when the timer goes off, you just bloop, and you have a 0.15 reaction. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not real. And so when I kind of figured that out,
Flint Lockwood coming out with his .65 draw.
what I started doing is I actually just started. I found the drill things that I wanted, like the bill drill, Blake drill, things like that. And I'm like, this is what I've done a bunch of them, like the Eric Rafaels and things like that. But where I find the most value is just the basic bitch drills, the bill drill, Blake drill, things like that. And I'm just doing those, and I pay attention to my own times, and then I take it from there. And I like it from that perspective because I don't know, it's a game. That's all it is. It's just something fun to do, and it's tangentially related to what we do, and that's. But I still hate the subscription service.
You can get a lot of value out of it, like a lot of value practicing or like drawing the gun or visually doing the stuff it can give you a lot, like something that's worth 5%. If you do it 20 times more than the thing that's worth 50% that you never do, is always value added and helpful.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like if it's like any exercise that you can manage and go do, it's like, oh, what do you do? Well, I play tennis. And then people go like, okay, well, that's you going playing tennis twice a week is more fruitful or beneficial to the mile
Yeah.
that you never ran, or that you ran.
Sure.
So like,
Yeah, pickleball's better than just pickles.
yeah, pickleball's better than pickles, or just gagging on balls. But
You don't know that.
I hope you don't know that.
Depends on the person, depends on the position that you have to be standing in when doing it. But
well, hang on. Jared, has Tommy signed up for the PCC match?
He is not.
I have not signed
Okay,
up.
then we don't know about the gargling on balls.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll try to sign up for that and make some time in my freaking hellish life for such things.
Thank you, nice man.
But like it can be beneficial and useful. But yeah, the model's kind of hard. And I know we have a question about this later. So, but I think it'd be kind of a good time to bring it up. Would be like the T-Rex arms Dry Fire app, their practice app.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that this was a thing. What is that?
This just came out today, and so it is like it is a free app that doesn't ask for you, doesn't send you any ads. It gives you one checkbox at the beginning that says, "Would you like to subscribe to the newsletter?" And you can click nope. When you install it, it does not have any permissions it's asking for. Like, you install something on Apple or Google, and it's just like, here's the permissions it wants, here's the user, and it's like, it's none of that shit. And like Lucas put up a video today where he was talking about, yeah, we want none of it. And it's, we are going to charge you, $1.50 per drill. We're going to charge you like a little bit of a subscription fee to get you to run the timer so you can have the use to the timer and all that stuff. He's like, I'm just joking. We're not doing any of that shit. And so like, it's a completely free app. You can build practice stages in it, and you can score them almost like a Practiscore for drills, and it'll put out a hit factor for some of the people like me who shot a lot of like the 50 round T-Rex arms pistol drill. It has a lot of like basic drills already built into the app that you can just punch in the hit factor scoring in time in it,
and saves it and stuff,
and it can produce it and it can save it.
Nice.
Is this on your phone or?
This is on your phone. It's on Apple and Android right now. You can go download it. Just type in T-Rex. It's fine. It's the Range Day app. And then for dry,
check that out because that sounds cool.
And the iPhones and Androids, none of them have a microphone that's good enough to actually do a timer. So it's not a real timer. You're still gonna have to buy a timer. But the Dry Fire timer, it has a Dry Fire timer on it, and I was using it today, and it works very well. Like you can set a the random delay versus part-time thing doesn't really work, but you set your part-time, you press go, and 1.5, 2 seconds later, the timer goes off and it goes and does its part-time thing. And like you screw around, enter in a drill. It's got a little bit of a video, mostly by Brantley. What is his name? Brantley Martin?
Brantley Merriam.
Brantley Merriam.
Merriam Brantley. Something like that.
Yeah.
I should know this, but
the man with
arms man.
The man with two last names, and he's giving you a description on some of the drills to shoot, like El-Pres and like 2 to the body to 1 to the head, and the 50 round pistol course, and the X-Ray Alpha MXAD drill. Which, by the way, if Matt Pranka doesn't get remembered for anything, coming up with like basically a new standard drill that hasn't been come up with in a long time, that's probably equivalent to like a Blake or El-Pres or
I promise you that Matt Pranka is going to be remembered more for shit talking every single gun tuber in the world than he will for a drill he created.
Yeah, because he learned from Ben.
Yeah.
But like
I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying
what's this MX 9 square delta?
It's basically like a 7-yard target and then a 15-yard target. And then essentially you draw and you shoot 6 rounds to the front target, and then immediately transition and shoot 2 rounds to the back. And so it's just trying to get like on a transition, and even a transition at distance, to basically still maintain the same splits. So draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 onto that target. And so like it's a pretty good drill. And like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like you got to keep your grip together. It's not that kind of drill is not something that you can just kind of wing and like transition to a 15-yard target and be like,
see, I like that drill, but doing a close paper and then just a steel popper at 10 or 15.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the ultimate accountability at that point.
Yeah.
Well, it's great, and then like Tom was saying, it's fantastic for just practicing getting those hyper aggressive transitions, practicing on trying to really drive the gun, and that's where that's where the money is in USPSA. That's where all the low hanging fruit is. It's just transitions.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
And I think the benefit to paper more than steel is on some of those things is the unknown ability of when you shoot it, because when you transition to shoot steel, you basically will stop the dot just a hair more, and you'll fire once, because once you ring the steel, that's generally the end of the drill, because lots of times when we do drills and other things, like we shoot steel once and then we don't really continue, but having something like a paper where you wing it over and then take the shots, and then you walk down there and you're just like, motherfucker, I pulled off the freaking target. Or like I delted it, I 2-delted it, or something like that.
Womp.
Yeah, it's a little bit more paper always progresses the speed a little bit more, because
it's just different.
You always think that you're doing something that you're not. No instant feedback. So yeah, no, it's a for a free app that lets you go to the range and practice stuff and enter it in and immediately score it and have all this. The thing that I thought about once I downloaded it and looked at this thing is, where the hell is USPSA on this for like the app? Why doesn't my USPSA app have a dry fight shot timer in it?
Because they're old white dudes. Leave them alone. They're not making that shit up. You want them to make an app? They barely figured that shit out and how to do a classifier. And now you
Dude,
want
They can't even figure out how to do a classifier, and you want them to make an app. I mean, at this point, the best thing they can
Yeah.
do is rewrite all the bylaws.
Well, yeah, well, they can rewrite the bylaw so we don't have a president, so we can have another person that's really not elected by the same people become
we
a
can
president.
call the president the Fuhrer instead, okay?
Yeah, that's
No,
like,
this is great. This is great because functionally with this new bylaw rewrite, what they're doing is they're basically making all the employees like their own separate little like fiefdom or fiefdom, and they're accountable to nobody. And so
Well,
the employees are going to go do whatever the fuck or whatever the flip the employees want to do, and the board of directors are just going to be the strategic vision.
well, not having,
That's
not having,
kinda,
not
oh,
having.
and we're going to have a code of conduct.
Well, here's the deal. This is like, if you have a code of conduct that just basically says if you do anything legal outside the realm of USPSA, like, then we have the right to kind of like get rid of you. Like, fine, like, you get thrown in jail for beating your wife. It's like, all right, well, we don't kind of need you in USPSA anyway. But like the code of
Is
conduct.
that just for the board of directors, or is it for anyone?
Oh,
in USPSA?
nothing works for the board of directors. The one thing I don't like about this is like, okay, so let's get rid of an elected position that's elected by all the members of USPSA, and then we'll just have one person, and then they'll be like the president and also an area member. It's like, how much more insulated can we freaking get? Like, here's the problem,
Well,
and this is
it's not. Go ahead, Tommy. Go ahead.
This is what I would say. Remember the app? Remember when we got the app and the website got cleaned up that was 1 billion years old? Remember that guy Mike Foley who did it? Who like pushed that forward and got that kind of squared away, and then like we neutered the power of Mike Foley, and then we got basically a role that couldn't do anything. It's like nothing was like, it's kind of weird to look back at the Mike Foley kind of time where it was like the employees didn't like him and they were afraid that somebody was going to come in who was going to kind of, hold employees accountable or didn't get along with anybody. But like a lot of the great improvements that we've seen in the sport are from the Mike Foley administration, everybody. And like, where has the sport really kind of gone through there? Yeah, it's like, where's the main improvements that have helped the shooters? Besides, we got some classifiers. Okay, great. Most of them are broken. That's happened. We've had nothing.
Some of them.
We've had nothing but drama for the past 2 years. Good drama and bad drama, and victories and defeats, and like it's a lot better than it was now. But as far as an executive branch of like moving the sport actually forward, why the hell isn't there a web store? Why can't I go to USPSA and go to the web store and then like,
I think you can.
Here's a click to the app. Here's a click to the timer. Here's a little new shooter package you could get. The fact is that we can't have a sponsorship by somebody like Shooters Connection that immediately has a USPSA page on there, and Shooters Connection can drop fill orders from the USPSA page or packages for memberships. It's like, what the hell is going on?
You're just trying to get them to ship more things to pay for your job, Tom.
Great, fine. Use your UPS. Well, I'll put in the sales lead. But like, it's just, I just looked at that T-Rex Arms app. I was listening to Stager's interview with one of the new area directors, and I was just like looking at that and then seeing that T-Rex Arms app, and then thinking about the VR shooter, and I'm just sitting here going, it's just like, what? It's not like USPSA is like this organization that can't do anything or sell anybody anything. It's like, we could do a lot, and like there could be a lot of ways to make the marketing better for USPSA, and there could be a lot of ways of making the shooters better for USPSA. And all this stuff does is, when I see stuff like this, especially from like T-Rex Arms, I don't think about going out there and shooting a USPSA match. I think about, well, I'm going to go buy a stack of targets and go out there to the range and just work on myself and shoot this stuff, because that's the stuff that's easily available. It's right there on the app. It's targets, target stands, range gear, and my phone, and I'm done. And like, what do I have to do for USPSA to go out there and practice? I got to do a bunch of other stuff, or I got to build it in another app, or I got to go to the Practiscore and I got to build it in
Just
another
do
app.
what everybody else is
Well,
doing and change your classifier scores and cheat, Tom.
that also works.
It's
Here,
super easy.
you know what? Honestly, like 10, 15 years ago, I mean, it happened, and we get it. Now it happens still, and I wish we wouldn't do it, but I the problem with all of that at the end of the day is that USPSA has created a classification system that allows this kind of gaming to happen.
It's a game within a game. You're going to get people gaming it. Ace VR is going to have people who dip the sights slightly
Right.
below the A zone so they can be number one. And the other part is, too, it's like when the system is like this, when it's not built off of a match performance or something else, and you allow people to reshoot, like people are going to reshoot stuff. But, like, here's the deal most people who are C's don't end up with a GM card no matter how much they reshoot it. Like people who are M cards who can hook it up and then turn in those classifiers, like they can become a G, and like eventually in a year or so, like with practice, they'll catch up to that kind of level, or even with less time. But I
But that I think though but that's what I mean. You're seeing a lot of people online and stuff like that, like Code Howler Monkey, Jay Mars. I don't remember all these people's names, and I'm so sorry for it. But they're talking about these systems, like these ELO systems, which I don't really understand. But
I don't
the
even know
general
what ELO means.
yeah, but the general understanding is that we're going to take all of your scores across the entirety of everything you do, and that's all going to create a ranked system. And so this idea of taking and putting every single thing you have into one stage of a 6-stage match and calling and saying this is my value as a human being, so come take my class because I'm a G or an A or an M, that goes away in a large sense, because now it's like, well, how do you perform across the entire spectrum of the sport? And you're seeing like PCSL is doing this. A lot of the guys with USPSA, the kind of that classifier committee that they're trying to work through. They're working on this. I think that's good, because I and we talked about this in our chat, but it's like the classification is weird because everybody attributes, like they basically attribute their value as a human being in the sport to that letter, whatever that letter is.
for
But the reality is that it's not like that. I mean, it is one stage in a
Right.
match, and
But-
that's what it is.
for a little
But-
period of time, people will do that, and then as they go farther in the sport, that means less and less to them than
Right,
their
but
actual match
yes.
performance.
The thing that honestly, I don't really think the cheating is that big of a problem, just because it all comes out, like it shows. And so when you have some guy who's going around saying, yeah, I'm a GM, and then you watch a video of him shoot and you're like, that's some potato ass shit.
Like it's not like we
And
haven't
you're
gone
like, yeah,
down this.
I
We haven't.
know you're not a GM, buddy, because I know some legit GMs, and when you watch them shoot, you say, God damn, son.
Yeah. Well, like, and then you see, like, it's not like we haven't been down this road before. Like Tony Cowden, like,
Right.
when's the
Tony's
last
a
time?
perfect example.
When's the last
example?
We saw this stuff a while ago? Like his stuff got disaffiliated. He ran for Congress. He lost that. Like these people will like sort themselves out. But like, there's people with good reputations that have like done this, and that's like if it was somebody's business to go out there and they had to sell themselves and the classification system allows them to do it and they go out there and do it and they get to throw another credential by the side of their name to make money, it's like, okay, like fine.
I see it all the time in architecture. I mean, it's so funny. Sometimes you'll work with architects, and it's almost like it's like this brag board, because they'll have an email and it says, Robert Wyatt, AIA, CBD, FYQ, and just this big long line of like all these affiliations. And
Look
it's
at
like,
all my laurels.
it really is. And look, I mean, respect for them for going out and actually like doing these things. That they deserve that respect. But it's not the be all end all. I've met architects who have like this long pedigree of all these like these things, and I'm like, you're actually really not good at what you're doing.
No, absolutely.
And I don't mean that mean. It's just an observation.
Well, the one
you
thing
see that in the cop land all the time, where you have these cops who have, like, when they send their fucking emails, it's I'm officer blah blah blah, beep, 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 beep. I'm the director of this, I'm the FBI National Justice, I've did this, I've this, I'm certified and certified and certified, and it's seriously like this text block, like
etc.
10 paragraph
etc.
line,
etc.
and you just want to respond with fag, like you just,
But I mean, there was a time where it's like, I mean, for even like I'm guilty of it, right? I mean, there's a time when like I've got to get this letter. I have to have this letter. This letter, I'm attaching my ego to this letter, and you
I
do
went to
everything
this class.
under
I
the
paid
sun
this money.
to get that letter.
I did this
have to
dry
be it.
fire. I bought this. I did this. I did X, Y, and Z to make that letter. And I think that happens with everybody. I mean that I think that
I wish it didn't, but that's what we do.
That's what happens. That's what happens when the sport, especially when you're at the beginning. And the problem is too, it's like the people that are trying to become a GM to sell classes, the people that are A's, M's, GMs, and all that, they don't attend those classes because they take a look at the guy and they took a look at match results and they go like, this is where I want to be, and this person does not have that, so I'm not going to go attend those.
Right.
Like those credentials are for people who have, what is it? Credentials are information, is a little thing that is put there so that people that don't have as much
Don't know.
experience can look at that and say, this with this
Wow.
information, I can now he's got this,
an
so I can go fill
assumption
it
that
in.
you've done something.
That
It is-
guy's
it
got
gives
a
me- it
lot of
gives-
titles.
But it's like, I mean, at the matches, I mean, I'll tell people all the time, like they come up and they're like, I just do terrible in these classifiers, and I'm always telling them like, this is one stage out of a match. It really doesn't mean anything, and I think I say it because I wish somebody would have told me that, like when I was like so jonesing for that letter, because when you really get into it, it's like, this doesn't mean anything. How do you perform overall in your class or in your division, whatever? That's what matters.
That's
But
one
That's
thing.
really the it.
One thing that I like that UML did, good old United
Renzing.
Multi-Gun League, Pete Renzing, their classification system was based off of your placement at different level matches. So you could be a pro, semi-pro, novice, whatever, at a local, and then you'd have to score that certain amount of times to be able to qualify for it at a state or an area or a national. And so it was actually fun because you had to get 95% of the match winner at a national level match in order to be considered as a pro in this. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. You had to do it twice, or you had to do, there's all these little checks, and I actually like that. And so that one actually means a
Jared,
lot more to me.
I think the ELO
is kind of like that.
I think it really recognizes that. Don't pin me to the wall and say that you're right or wrong. I'm telling you kind of because I just don't understand it completely. I just know that they're trying to take a broad
performance.
Yeah, your real match performance at real matches, both local. They'll have like your local matches, but they won't be valued as heavily as a national level match where you have obviously the bigger heat. And if that's what they're doing, that's what we should be doing. That really does tell you who you are. I mean, like right now, I mean, I go to a match and I shoot like, in a B class. I'm like, guess what, Rob? You're a B. I mean, that's you. That's who you are right now. As that's who you are as a shooter.
Yep.
Okay, cool. At least I know where I stack up in the world.
Yeah,
it's not some like the arbitrary thing that I happen to hook it up one day on a classifier, and so now I'm an A or whatever.
Well, the one thing too, and the one winning formula that the classifiers never judge is consistency. And like all the shooters that are really good that I've had the pleasure of shooting to, and what's led to some of my success is consistency over a match. And like there's plenty of times where I've shot the speed of an A-class shooter and like come out very, very well because I didn't drop a lot of points and I shot 2 seconds slower in every stage, but I was consistent through an entire match, and that meant I collected more and more little points. And I think like having a system that is based to the performance of the match will remove the game within a game, and it'll actually start dictating and judging consistency. Because all the great people that you want to sit there and see and go and take classes from aren't people who can be just like crazy fast, but have been consistent and mostly consistent throughout the years. And so that's what I would say. Like any classification system that moves in the path of 6 stages, 12 stages, matches under the belt, and can use some sort of AI to track it or whatever, like that would be fantastic to have for everybody.
Right, right.
It'd be neat.
But
I mean, give it time. USPSA, I mean, they've got their classifier committee, and I don't know what they're doing. Alex Acosta, Area 4, is kind of heading that up. And they're gonna present some ideas, and hopefully USPSA moves in the right direction. I think they will. I think
Yeah.
there's enough people that recognize that there's problems, there's good and bad with our classifier. By and large, our classifier does work. I mean, in terms of like determining a set of skills that you can kind of like understand this is generally where you are.
Mhm.
And so it is effective. Could it be better? 100% it could be better.
It does a good job,
Well-
but there are ways of gaming the system, and there are ways of doing it where, oh, I'm going to go shoot a classifier only match with my friends. There are ways of
Yeah.
practicing and setting it up so you could get a paper GM. But I honestly don't know if there's a way of really getting around that, unless, I mean, the whole looking at all of your scores, it seems like it would be a better job of that, but it just seems like a very gargantuan task.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
like an
so, I
AI.
mean,
That's like an AI
Yeah.
task. Like literally, a Practiscore used some sort of AI and just took.
Cortana,
Yeah.
go.
Don't. You'll fire up mine. Like if you literally had some AI attached to Practiscore and it said, all right, we're gonna take Robert Wyatt. We're gonna take Robert Wyatt, all Robert Wyatt's USPSA matches, and we're gonna compare him to all the other shooters that he's been around and their matches, and we're gonna come out with a ranked percentage of what he is over
Yeah.
the match winners, and then it'd probably fill out something that would be probably pretty close. It would be like
Mhm.
he's 80% of X, Y, and Z. He would be in A class. Like it would probably fill in very, very well on that if we kind of spread it out. And I think for 1970s technology, the classifier does work very well. And for 80s and 90s and 2000s, it works very well too. But like
Mhm.
we live in an information age, and not only that, we live in an age where even USPSA on YouTube or on forums has a plethora of stuff that go to, and not only that, it has the ability of information on how to game freaking everything. And
Right.
the last thing I'll say about this is reshooting classifiers is legal. It is a legal
Right.
thing, and it's able to do. Editing scores is not. And there's a big difference between shooting a classifier over and over again to get the one that you wanted that's 2% faster than your last run that you shot and messed up, and then going down there and editing the scores to get you exactly what you want to save face or to cheat. Like there's cheating, and then there's gaming the system. And those
Right.
are completely two different things. It's no different than if I sit there and, a shot says, take the final 6 shots strong hand only, and then I hold the gun strong hand only, put 6 shots in the dirt. Like, did I cheat? Nope. That was within the rules and the way it was described, and I outthought the system. And then you have to build rules around that. And then there's like, no, I grabbed the iPad and said, let me see that for a second. I want to check his scores, and then edited it. Remember, we had to put edits didn't exist in Practiscore, or were not, like, let's say for like the first 3 or 4 updates, they were not in the system where the shooter can see that they saw the edits, which means when people were doing scores, they would see edits before the actual shooter who cheated would see the edits. And like that little update to the system changed a lot of things. But if you're the administrator, if you're going to create a USPSA club, you're going to make the edits and do all that stuff under your name, like, it's a big deal. But reshooting classifiers, go with God. Like, if you want to bring $90 to a match and someone's going to stand next to you with a timer and you're going to give them a bunch of brass, go with God. Shoot them up all you want. It's fine.
Yeah, and my
Let's do
contention.
Can You Count Again?
My contention is I want to see the classifier committee and USPSA create a system that doesn't even encourage that to happen. And if they do that through this ELO system or some other thing where we say, okay, well, we're not going to care about this one stage, we're going to care about everything, I think that's a real good step forward. I really do. I
It
think that
sounds
actually
cool.
it shows you who you are. It's like the UML thing, right? I mean, it
Yep.
shows you who you are in real life. And if you play this game long enough, that's where most people get to. How am I scoring at the major matches? What's my percentage at a major when Eric Raffel shows up and blows the what do you call it, the
Right.
bell curve out?
Yep. Jared, did you have anything before you hop over to the questions?
The main thing I've been doing is just getting all the match shit ready. So the cop match and the not a cop match, all the registration opened, and it's gone
Bonkers.
really well. Yeah, holy shit.
Oh man, I haven't even signed up yet. I got to do that.
Last year, dude, we had like 60 people, I think, sign up on the first day, and over the next couple weeks, it kind of trickled, and it filled up all the way to 200. I think it was 264 was the final count, and this year it is now January 5th, and we have, I believe, let's look. So the registration's been open for 5 days, and we have 270 approved shooters.
Hell yeah.
And that's for the cop match. And then we have about, 60, 70 for the not a cop? No, 65 for the not a cop, and about 10 signed up right now for the PCC match. So it's fun, and it's nuts that it's selling out so quickly. It's going to be the largest match in Utah. It's the largest police officer match in the nation, and if you count all 4 days together, it might actually be the largest match in the whole nation, which is fucking
Crazy.
ridiculous.
Yep. That is
I
an
think
accomplishment.
I think it is nothing short of amazing, and it is awesome.
You know
Well,
what, Jared? You know what you need to do, Jared?
So cool.
You need to get the biggest effing have no other second place, third place, none of that shit. You need to get the freaking Stanley Cup trophy made for like just the overall fastest cop. And like you just get that trophy set up there, put it out there, and you talk about when people are going to sit there and add something to their email or to their profile picture of you handing them a 4 foot tall fastest dick in the West, not sorry for all you people who suffer
He
from
meant detective.
premature ejaculation. I did not mean you. I'm not calling you guys out, but fastest detective in the West, sort of thing. I think that would be pretty sweet. I mean, you would see people coming out from like Bob Vogel would probably show up with his
No, we actually right now have people. We have a team coming out from New Hampshire, from California, from Colorado, from Texas, from Nevada, from I think Minnesota, from New Mexico, from like it's
and the
it's gone
feds.
nuts.
The feds are coming too.
Oh, the feds are coming out in droves. Like they're sending out multiple teams. The fucking DEA's sponsoring the match.
Right on.
And so I'm getting cash from the DEA to run this match. So they're an
technically
actual
cash from the
stage
cartels?
sponsor. I know, right? It's great. So it's turning.
They go and
Why
raid
do they
some
come? Why
cartel
did that's
members,
funny
like,
that
hey, we want to go shoot this match.
that's funny. It came in $100 bills that were rolled up
It was
in
all wrapped up.
in a
wrapped up.
Walmart bag. Crazy, huh? Crazy.
It's nuts.
Is this
I
been
know
in
that
somebody's
smell from
wall?
anywhere. But it's been, I don't know, it's been fun. I've been really happy with it. I've been happy with the response. I've been happy with everybody's working at it, and it's been cool. I've been really, really happy and excited with. We're going to see how it goes this year. I got to plan and change a couple little things, but for the most part, it looks like it's going to go really smoothly. Everything's kind of planned out, and I figured out some problems, and I'm excited for it. And
You know
yeah,
what?
One of my favorite things that actually happened was, the walkies.
Yeah.
Like everybody loves the walkies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always tell them about the cop match and how they should come out and shoot it. And they're both just like, I don't know, man. Like, I have to save my primers for USPSA, and like, thank you, but that's you guys go have fun and play with your game, but that's all right. Thank you though. And so they were always, nice about it, and it was understandable. I wasn't hurt about it, but last year I finally convinced them. I'm like, just come out,
Just
and they're like,
watch.
I don't know. I'm like, just come out and check it out, just to see all the cops, just to see it all. Like it's really is kind of a cool thing. Like, dude, it's a bigger match than USPSA state. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, just come out and check it out. So they came out and were wandering around. They're like, holy shit, this is legit. Like, I thought it was going to be some jank ass fest, and I was just being polite, but like, this is fucking phenomenal. And they were like talking about how the stages were great, how this looks fun. And he's like, oh, the scoring's different, but the scoring's actually really fun. I really like the one alpha or one headshot. And they were very excited about it. And they're like, we're going to sign up for next year. Don't worry. We're going to come out. We're going to shoot this. This looks like it's going to be a blast. And so that was really nice, just because it's like, again, from guys who have been in it since the dawn of time, to say that, yeah, this is fucking fantastic. That made me really happy, and that was a very good compliment. And so I'm just excited. It keeps on getting bigger, and we're just figuring this out. And we have 3 companies fighting over the title sponsor. And I need to figure out how I'm doing that.
Rochambeau.
But right,
And reduce size targets
So-
to protect the sticks. Blacked out D zones, because holy smokesasaurus rex, they like them sticks.
I think
It's
one of the things we're gonna do is I'm gonna go find some. I screwed up because I really wanted to get them from all the campaign people, and they took them down on election day. But I'm gonna find some coroplast and actually put those up on our walls, and it's super easy, simple, and it will just protect it, easy as can be.
Yeah.
well, and there's ways you should be able to put the targets up and like put no shoots up to protect the walls, and I'll do that this year, and it'll be good.
Well, but that's
I-
the nice thing is the coroplast. You can it's just the plastic stuff, and
Right.
you can come in late, so you get everything set up, and you're like, "Ooh, we need to fix that." Staple it up, boom, you're done.
Well, the funny
Easy.
thing
Super
is,
easy.
is we walked it all last year, and we're like, this is like we walked it as like USPSA safe, and we did not walk it as 2 shots per safe from the cops. That really, because the one thing is like not the funniest thing, but like the interesting thing is like you would see like one cop would know exactly what he was doing and how to shoot like a match a little bit, and then all the other cops look back, they go let's shoot like this, and then they go try to shoot like that, and it's pretty interesting. But the
conga line of death is real, dude.
oh yeah, the thing that I found was like super fun was I got to see new Glocks before they were released. I got to see the Gen 5 MOS before it was released at the last year's Scott match. And now when Jared says we're handing out Vortex pistol optics, no one goes, never mind. Because now Vortex pistol optics are really good. And it's just like, oh, what, we got some Venoms and some Vipers? No. When we're handing the Defender STs and the Defender XLs,
Well,
like,
Vortex is going to come out, and they're going to be one of the title sponsors. They're going to.
Is Amax coming?
Yeah, he's coming
cool.
out. They're actually wanting to set up a class where I think he's. Well, we'll see what it happens, but Glock is wanting to have Shane Coley come out and do like a training division thing the day before the match. Well, that's what we were talking about last year. I don't know if that's still in the works. I texted Josh and he hasn't responded, but where Glock wants to come out and do like a training thing, and then Vortex wants to come out and do a training thing, and like it's turning into quite the fucking event where companies are coming out and they're going to be doing trainings, and it's turning into a lot.
That's
So,
awesome. It honestly, this is, I mean, like of all the matches, this is actually the one I'm actually looking
It's the most
most
fun.
forward to this year. I mean, like
it's
we've got
gonna be a good
nationals down in
time.
St. George. I'm probably not going to shoot that, which is weird to say that, but I'm actually looking forward to the UTLE match.
You mean the cop match? It's a good fucking time.
It is.
Well, and thank
The
goodness that you have
the
it.
key question is the guy going to be bringing hot dogs again? Because I mean,
Yeah, buddy.
that was legit.
I already talked to Robbie, and Robbie's already like, I'll bring the grill out. And we're gonna make dogs both days, but he needs somebody to run the grill on one of the days. And I'm like, don't worry, we'll find somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the funny thing is about that, like, you just turned into a Costco mom. What are we having for dinner? We're gonna go have hot dogs. Everyone gets a hot dog. No, you cannot have a churro as well. And if you're looking to attend the cop match, well, don't show up without your Dominate Defense belt. Head on over to Dominate Defense. Use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off the best concealment belt and Mach 1 speed belt, the best shooting belt in the industry. Got one set up on the bed back there with my USP. It's pretty sweet. So check them out. Use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off your order. Also, check out Rune Tactical. Get a +1 in your gun for those special stages that you need. Those 20 round count stages with 4 or 5 pieces of steel somewhere in the middle. Check them out. Rune Tactical. Get +1 in your gun with some springs. And also W74 guide rods. Same promo code for everything, PARA10. Get tungsten batteries, get tungsten guide rods, get all the equipment that you need for your weapons and to get them plussed up with that weight so that your wrist doesn't hurt so much. W74. Check them out. Also, Telegram messaging app. Get it on your PC, get it on your phone. And then when we ask for questions, you can send us questions. When we ask for questions, you can send us questions over there. We'll try to answer them. Robert?
From my super good friend, Mr. Alex, what is your favorite dead caliber and why?
40 Smith & Wesson. It's not officially dead. It's on life support, but I look at 40 Smith & Wesson nowadays. I look at that and I go, like, it kind of was the answer. Like, it really kind of was the answer. And, like, the one thing that 40 Smith & Wesson did do, it made our guns better. It made all the modern pistols that we shoot now better. It made the Sig Sauer guns better because they started building them for 40 calibers. It made the fourth and fifth generation Glocks better. It made the guns like the H&K guns overbuilt from the factory. Like, it made a lot of guns that we received, post 2005 or 2006. It made them overbuilt for 9mm. And so now we get guns that have an excellent service life on almost everything because of 40 Smith & Wesson. Like, 40 Smith & Wesson, like, we got better barrel steel because of 40 Smith & Wesson. I mean, and we got -2 in capacity, +3 to attack power. I mean, 40 Smith & Wesson was a really cool bullet, and it kind of sucks that it's kind of going away because, like, you could have a 200 grain or 180 grain subsonic load that would really pretty much deliver and give you 45 caliber ballistics with more capacity. And it was a pretty good round. It was a pretty good round. 45 gap, that should have taken off. That would have been pretty sweet too if we had more and more guns in 45 gap. But yeah, like 40, we as shooters now owe a lot to freaking 40 Smith & Wesson.
It's such a weird way to say that. I mean, it's like, I'm such a good father now because my father beat the shit out of me growing up, and I don't do that to my kids. So my dad was a good dad.
But he taught me how to throw a punch. He taught me how to throw a punch.
He taught you how to take one.
I mean, it's 40 Smith & Wesson, like, there's nothing it didn't do pretty well when it came to, like, ballistics. Like, it did everything pretty freaking well.
The 40 Smith & Wesson was a stopgap measure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it was. It was a stopgap because they came out with the 10, and they realized that a lot of women. That's really what it was. It was just
10 was too
women
much.
agents. They just couldn't handle it. Totally understandable. And so they're like, well, we can't do the 9mm because we made some incorrect assumptions from the Miami
guns.
See?
Now they're ruining Star Wars.
Hey, lesbian and lame. That's the Kathleen Kennedy effect.
Well, the 40 Smith & Wesson too, what you have to remember about the 10mm, it's not so much about the power of the 10mm, but the problem is with the 10mm, it required a large frame pistol, which means if you had smaller hands, like, everyone thinks about, like, oh, well, I like my 1911. My 1911 fits my hands. Like, bitch, go grab a Glock 21 3rd gen. Go grab that thing. Tell me how
That
much
was
you
a
like it.
chunky monkey.
Yeah, tell me how much. Go grab a single stack, even if it's a single stack, like P220 or Smith & Wesson 1006. Like even as a single stack gun, they're very long, and then they also have a double action trigger. So like, go play that game, and then you're like, okay, like a stopgap measure, like it was an effective in between for a lot of stuff, and like people went down when they got shot by 40 Smith & Wesson. So, what are you gonna do? It's a good gun. It's a good bullet. It's a good bullet.
You
I
would.
think the 45 ACP is a great dead caliber.
Yeah, I love it.
It's dead. I mean, all the old boomers are hanging on to it, but if it's not 9mm, it doesn't exist.
TSOS needs to ship you. TSOS should have a package where you buy a TSOS 1911, and then for $1,000 more, they ship you a ton of 45 ACP. That's the package they need. And the total cost of the whole entire setup, $1,300. That's what they need.
Yeah. Just went away. From Mr. Doug Dowski. PSI is back. PSI is back. Is this good for USPSA or bad? What do you guys think?
So, dealing with drama people at work, and I don't want drama people in my personal, like, fun life, my hobby. I really don't see the benefit of a lot of this stuff. Like, I get sometimes it's good to point out guys are doing bad things. I get that, if this guy's doing a shitty job, make a ruckus about it, whatever. But at the same time, it's very much getting to the point where it's not so much actual news. It's that 24-hour news coverage where it's just like they're making news and they're like, yeah, this is a big fucking deal. Everything's the sky's falling. And it's not. And it's just like, oh, relax. Like USPSA is doing fine. Like the sport itself is fine. Maybe the admin, maybe the org, whatever. I don't like people screaming and ranting and making drama out of everything. I don't think it helps.
Sensationalizing
I
everything.
don't think it helps. I don't think it makes the sport better. I don't think it makes your life better. I think it will make you a bitter, tired, and alone person with no friends.
I hate that you're right about that. Like, I legit hate that you're right about that. And yet, like, I get drawn to drama, like moth to a flame drawn.
But Robert loves tea.
I don't know. Everything you're saying is 100% correct. It is. It's just, I mean, but the drama shows up and you're like, ooh, let's go see what we're supposed to be upset about today.
Yeah, and it's like when stuff was really needed to be discussed on PSI, like PSI was good. And then you would see stuff that was, I wouldn't say like very well vetted, and then see that be posted up there as like, well, it's kind of like, well, this might be true kind of stuff.
CNN.
Yeah, the sensational stuff, 50/50 intelligence experts say it's Russian disinformation. But like there is a little bit of that, and it's like, fine, like if there's something that's real and legitimate and whatever, like post it. But the other part is too, it's like it being PSI. It's like I understand having the pseudonym when under the whole USPSA guys and being banned, but like just put it out there as your name and then go about it. It's like it's almost like keeping the name and the way it is, like all your followers are going to stay the same. Is a kind of way of separating from what actually kind of goes on. Like as long as it's decent and true, fine. I'm always decent and true information. Go out there, have fun, put it out there, and do it. But yeah, that's what I would say. If it's true, go ahead, go out there and post it. But like you only hurt yourself when it's drama all the time.
That's the Alex Jones effect, right? I mean, Alex Jones is a real nutty guy.
Frog's gay.
I know, but then it's like, oh shit, he actually had a point on some of those things. But you become
the frogs are gay.
Well, if you say so many crazy things, you can be right. but because you've said so many crazy things that it dilutes the value.
No, yeah, well,
It
even the
sounds
way
like
you
that's
say
kind of what
them,
you're saying.
way you say them, even if they're true things, the way you say them could be off-putting in a way that people discount you and call it fake or whatever, and then like you have to live with that, and then like it damages your value. So it's
Yeah.
like, you got to be careful about that too.
Well, yeah, well, and it damages the brand. And if the brand and if your company is based off of telling the truth, and then what really now your brand is not telling the truth and reporting, your brand is now sensationalism and screaming about the sky falling and saying that all these terrible things are happening. And guess what? None of the terrible things happen. You eventually just start to get ignored because all of us as kids were all told that global warming is happening and that California is going to be in the ocean by the time you turn 30 and this and that and
It's gonna
this
be the
and
last
that.
snowfall you've ever seen, Jared, in the year 2008. This is the last
Yeah,
snowfall.
we all were told that shit when we were kids. But then it was funny. I saw a video. They're like, okay, so if they really thought that California was going to sink into the sea in the next 10 years, why the fuck would any bank approve a 30-year mortgage?
That's
Why do they
exactly the truth.
why do they approve houses beachfront property? Why are people still building on a
Why would they
beach?
do that?
What people do when they spend their money on is the truth. What
Yeah.
people just
The
merely say is nothing.
the answer is that that's not how it works. And obviously we've all seen that. Has the world gotten a little bit hotter? I don't know. Maybe. Has it not
Well,
gotten hotter?
the
I
world
don't know.
the world has
Maybe.
been hotter, the world has been colder, and it hasn't been that long ago since when you had people that were saying we were going into the next ice age, and that's just the way it
Right.
is. But I mean, it's the thing I always
But it
like
damages your
it
brand
does
when you
damage the
keep
brand.
on yelling and screaming and saying that this man is a rapist and then he does not rape.
Yeah,
No, and
but I mean, it's like we talk about all these problems in USPSA, and then we go to a match, and nobody talks about them.
here's some
Nobody
other
talks about them. It's like, hey, we got some new guys. Let's help them. Let's help them get through their first match and
Yeah.
have a great time.
Yeah, we just make fun of the guys with the DASA guns. That's what you're supposed to do at matches.
Shut
You're
up.
supposed to make fun
Shut
of
up.
each other.
Shut up.
That's what you're supposed to do at matches. You're not supposed to talk about politics. You're not supposed to talk about who cares about what some jackass fuck in Florida did to his classification system. Like, honest to God, how does
Yeah.
that affect Tom? How does that affect Robert? How does it affect Jared? It doesn't. I don't care if some dude is murdering people
It's
in Florida because he
microdrama.
probably is. Who cares?
It's
Florida's in
microdrama.
Florida.
It's microdrama.
That's a Florida
That's all
problem.
it is. Yeah.
Go
Well,
let them deal with that.
like we're talking more about this than the idea of like, oh, we're gonna propose and move forward with an idea that we shouldn't actually have an elected president of USPSA. Well, why? Well, because he doesn't really have any power, and we've had some bad experiences, and the board wants to protect the board kind of in a way. And it's just like, well, why doesn't the president have any power? Well, we had one guy who was like kind of effective at getting shit done, but like he was kind of like holding the employees accountable, and we didn't really like them, so we stripped him of his power. And then we got another one in, and he didn't really have any power, and he didn't really do anything, so then we removed him. It's just like, maybe the idea would be go back to like a president that actually had the power to lead an organization and had like some ability to like hold employees accountable. Like maybe we should do something like that. And
I
then the
think the
idea is
biggest
like, no,
challenge.
just move them.
Yeah, I
Get
think the
rid of them.
biggest challenge you have with anything, and USPSA is certainly not immune to this. That I mean, there's a lot of documented cases that they're actually really bad at it. Is the law of unintended consequences has not been repealed, and every time you do something, something's going to happen. That, and hopefully, you go through and you try and think of ways to mitigate those things. But every time you do something, what is it Thomas Sowell always says? In government, there's no solutions, only trade-offs. It's
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Almost
I mean, it's
anything,
true with
yeah.
everything in life. And so, I mean, what you hope for in this particular case with with USPSA trying to rewrite all the bylaws, which is so funny that they're doing it in between presidencies, that they did the last time, to make all their changes. But that's neither here nor there. You hope what they're going to do, and we actually have a pretty good board right now. You hope that they're going to actually take a look and say, okay, here's what we're doing today. What does it look like in 5 years when we're gone and other people are running this thing? Have we thought about ways to actually like solve for problems in the future so they don't happen? Because they're not, a lot of places, like people are not great at that. That's
No,
why
well, and the
people
worst.
get to 65 and they have no retirement money,
Well,
right?
that's the and politicians are absolutely the worst at that. To quote Thomas Sowell, they are never around to clean up the problems that they create. And even so, even if they come up with some scheme that makes everything look pretty and better for them now, they will be unelected and not being able to held accountable when the check comes due. And so, like,
Right.
do not let I just no, don't let them remove the ability for anyone to actually vote, to have a a second vote on that board besides your area director is the president of USPSA. And by gosh, they should have more power because nothing really hasn't been done since Foley. Like, sorry to bring it up. Sorry to bring it up. We got limited optics.
Hey, we have
Cool.
L10 optics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually going to be cool. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I kind of
Revolvers are
wondered about
back,
that.
baby.
Yeah.
From Moisha, will Ben make PCC great again with his JP5? Will it have any impact on the growth in the division?
Mm,
No.
no. Well,
Probably not.
I think as far as like the training that goes along with PCC, they'll probably be great if him and Joel Parker spitting out
Yeah.
PCC rounds like that. That's going to be great. That'll be great for PCC shooters. But I think the same thing, like we got Stager back in the sport at a time when he's the busiest he's ever been with content creation and with classes. Like he's booked out for years, so he's not going to probably be attending and shooting a whole bunch of matches and everything. So I mean, like it's good for the content. It's good for content. It's good for PCC shooters. It's like following Bob Vogel on Instagram. It's like he does a lot of cool stuff and it's pretty neat. But like, are we going to see Bob Vogel competing at every local and sectional match again? Probably not.
Yeah. From Dirk Hopkins, how is Practiscore 2.0? What has been the public reaction? Well, SWPSA right now is still. I've actually been I talked to George at the last match and Dan Ward today. Both asking when are we going to go to Practiscore 2.0. The short answer is not anytime soon. The earliest would probably be like the very earliest would be February. We will be starting. We'll be trying it again this week at our indoor match and seeing how it runs. I'm not in a hurry to upgrade because on the iOS it is functionally a downgrade, and so I don't really see a tremendous amount of value yet. I know they're doing a lot of great things as far as the Android version is concerned, but because right now, I mean, the only thing that 2.0 really is bringing to the game is that they have the new classifiers in there. There's some other under the hood improvements and things like that, but I'm going to let everybody else be the beta tester on it. And I'm happy to try it out at the indoor match where it's not going to hurt anybody. But at larger, like full club matches, I don't see any reason to
That's
to do it fast.
My question is why? What does it do better for us right now? And if the answer is nothing, then it doesn't seem like there's a reason to do it.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't even think that's the proposition that you guys are actually talking about as far as running matches. Your proposition right now is it safe? Because
That is also a very
that
good
is
question
secret?
to be asking.
is it secret?
Is it safe?
And so yeah, look,
Like
they're working really hard. They're working really hard. They're gonna make a good product. It's gonna be good.
yeah,
I'm just
but
not
like
gonna be the beta tester for it.
yeah, like let's not let Slips is in a unique position where basically its weekend of shooting is the equivalent to people's major matches. Like
Mhm.
its weekend of shooting is like so if like even if you have one thing that happens on one stage that affects 170 shooters over the course of the weekend, that sucks. If Jared does it with a
Mhm.
cop match and then goes in there and in the process of not only just having the mistake but trying to correct the mistake and loses something or loses some information, like it's
Bad
the
news bears.
yeah, it's just like no one likes a P360 a P320 because they think like it's gonna jam every once in a while. People think that it's gonna have a catastrophic error that's gonna lead to like great bodily harm or loss of life.
Right,
And so
right.
and that's the risk right now with Practiscore. Like if it came out and you're just like, okay, like what's the difference? Oh, it has this button over here, it fixes this thing, it has some shortcuts here and there, it allows us to do X, Y, and Z. It'd be like, okay. But the other problem is the real problem is like we don't know how to use it. So it's got to be safe
Oh,
how it
I
gets
did.
done.
God, I didn't even think of that,
And then
Tommy.
it's just like
When we do it, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to go teach everybody. It's probably not that big of a teaching thing, but I'm gonna have to show everybody how to do it.
It should be fine.
it should be fine. The teaching, but this is why when everyone like remember when like the army was trying to switch rifles from the M4 and they're like, well, it has M4 controls, like that shouldn't matter. People should be able to like learn and adjust, and people learn from the M14 to go to the M16. It's just like, bitch, you teach them. You like that, like that's the next thing. It's just like, why should we switch away from the Glock or something like that? It's just like any training department's like, bitch, you go teach them. Like go teach anything to anybody that has to require more than a 22-step process in how to fix something. It's like, bitch, you teach them. And that's what it is. It's just like, okay, some things you can teach general principles on and it's fine, but like you hop into the weeds in this stuff and like Robert then can't take a vacation for an entire 2 years because he's going to have a bunch of other people that are going to be calling him, and his response, which it can't be because he doesn't have a bunch of people that can do what he does, is bitch, you teach him. Like it doesn't it doesn't work. Like it's just
But I
Yeah.
don't want to.
yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. It's
That's the
it's
bad thing. But if it screws up at Jared's match, I'm like, no, I'm the one who's gonna have to fix that. No, we'll keep using 1.0 because I know how it's predictable. Predictability is nice.
yes. Yeah, that's the main key is like predictability. And it's like if they wanted to do a 2.0, they should have just made an update that was horseshit for everybody. No one would have anywhere else to go except for to keep using the product, and then like it would get fixed. But they sat there and they said we're gonna start from scratch. We're gonna make a brand new program, and we're gonna try to wean you guys over to that program. And all we're asking is that you guys put your matches at risk and human error at risk into learning it. That's all we're
Just
asking.
your livelihood and a bonfire. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. It's
From
okay.
Vincent Hall, Practiscore displays overall match results by default. Do you think this has contributed to a reduction of people shooting in less overall competitive divisions over the years? In division
Yes.
results, yeah. I mean, functionally, yeah.
Well, like because I open it up and it says the overall and my name's farther down, this makes
Yeah.
me want to not shoot the division I'm shooting in.
At a local match, absolutely, it does. It really does.
If I go out there and I shoot prod and I click into the overall and I'm just like, okay, I want to compare myself to my friends. I'm not looking at the overall where guys shooting PCC and
if
limited
you
and
look at
open.
overall, and if you see me shooting carry optics and you shooting production, and I'm, let's say, third in the match, and you're 25th in the match, you're going to be like,
No. I'm shooting
I
production.
would rather be not 25th in the overall. I would rather be beating my friend. I'd
Yeah.
rather be number 2 in the overall.
Well, here's
And a
here's
lot
the
of that.
ultimate crux. If I wanted to beat my friend, I would just shoot the same fucking division. Like I don't get what you babies are after. Like you open it up and you're just like, oh my gosh, we're on welfare and I didn't get a PS5. Why? Why? I went on Instagram. My friend Jimmy, he got a PS5 for Christmas. Man, but it's just like that's not the case at all. The case is like you chose. It's like here's the money. Do you want a PS5? No, I don't want a PS5. What do you want? Oh, welfare cheese. And then you get the welfare cheese, and you're just like, oh why? Oh why?
Government
No,
cheese.
it's like no. I shoot what I shoot. I shoot revolver. I shoot what I shoot. When I open the
I
thing,
like
the
government cheese, god damn it.
cheese will always be in stock because it's subsidized by a government. There's a certain fail point price where the government will reimburse, so there'll always be cheese in stock. Yogurt, cream cheese cannot be. But anyway, but like the whole point of this is just like Thomas Sowell again. The whole point of this is just like I choose what I'm going to do. I choose that I'm going to shoot a certain division, and then I pop in, and like my name's lower on the overall because of my personal choice, and I'm supposed to be like maybe Practiscore shouldn't display the overall first because then that will have people not shoot divisions that are
That
less populated. It's like
that may
this.
be so, Tommy, but you also look at all the schlubs below you, and I'm like, bitch, I just beat you with a low cap gun.
Yeah, like you can't, but you can but every good shooter gets to do that. Every good shooter gets to do that. They get to like have a pile of people below them that they shot with inferior equipment.
The correct answer is actually to do what Wyatt McNeil did and shoot a low cap division and still win the fucking match and shit on everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Then he does the double birds at everyone.
That is the appropriate response, but like no, we should not change how Practiscore runs everything because we're afraid of how diminished a next division would feel about where they are. A shooter feels worse because he shot revolver.
No, I don't think it's about feelings, or we're not trying to change Practiscore. I just thinking it's just a realistic way of seeing that, because it shows the overall, and it used to be like the single stack guys would fight amongst themselves in their little short bus from 1945. These guys would shoot on their little short bus. But if you can see in the overall that this bus is obviously better and faster and they're doing a better job, everyone's going to slowly migrate to that bus. And we can obviously see that that's happened with carry optics and limited optics. And so everyone's slowly migrating over to the divisions where there's more go fast and you can place higher in the overall standings. And I think that's just a natural thing that's going to happen, because if you come out and it's fun to shoot a low cap division to see how well you do in the overall, but at the same time, it's also frustrating to shoot single stack or production and then you're not going to do that well in the overall. And these guys that you normally beat have beaten you. But you're like, yeah, but it's not the same. We're not shooting in the same division. I'm not competing against you. And they're like, that's what a loser would say.
Yeah, and if you beat them with that single stack gun, you're like, ha, I beat you with my single stack gun. It goes both ways. I think
it goes both ways.
When the 9mm, somebody said this, I don't remember who it was, but basically production had a really good place because it was a 9mm handgun. And it meant that people could compete for cheap. But when they put optics on that 9mm handgun, it meant that people had an easier aiming solution and they could compete less expensively with 9mm cheap. And that division kind of took everything.
As Tom looks at his P30 and like, this isn't cheap.
Well, I compete for cheap, not get into it cheap. But the equipment is what sold that. I think Practiscore, like the way you explained it, Jared, I think Practiscore may have a 1.2% for some people to sit there and want to migrate divisions. But generally, people migrate divisions on the equipment, which allows them to feel better about themselves.
I changed divisions because there was nobody in the division.
Correct, but that's not because Practiscore told you the overall.
No, you're right about that, but I mean, it's like, but you do see that slow. I mean, well, hell, Tommy, why are we today shooting carry optics? Because that's where everybody went.
Yeah, but in the 10 years of doing this podcast, I've never heard, because not once have I heard from any reason.
That's fair.
The reason I switched is because I looked at the overall, and the people who were beating me were doing this. Now, there are a handful of people who are overall seeking, like, unless they get the overall in the match, they're not going to do it. And they want to compete in the craziest division that allows them to have the most stuff, and they want to be cranking overall. And those are called PCC and open shooters. And that's what they do. But for everybody else, if you want to compete for the overall has some effect on you. Please get some more money, make some more money, make worse financial decisions, and find yourself in those two divisions.
Ah, shit.
Last question from Brian Zent. If you were to create a 2025 USPSA crazy bingo card, what would you put on it?
New president, removal of new president. New president has no powers. New president gets reelected. New president gets removed.
Board makes
Ben Stoker gets banned
again.
Ben
Board
Steger
makes unintended rules.
Ben Steger becomes president. Ben Steger gets removed. There's our
Scott Arnberg is reinstated.
Scott Arnberg becomes president. Scott Arnberg gets removed. I like this timeline. Never mind. I'm a fan of the Scott Arnberg timeline.
Troy McManus gets fired. Oh, wait, no, you want something that's plausible.
Yeah, no. You have to have like the free one in the middle. The bingo is the president gets removed.
Yeah, president gets removed.
It will happen. Whether it's the USPSA president or the American president.
I
He's
know.
going.
I-
Someone's gonna get
Some
removed.
presidents getting removed.
I know. I'm sure as shit we're not getting a shot timer and classifiers classifiers and practice apps put on our USPSA app. Hell, can we
The thing is, though, Tommy, I mean, like, think about this from a government perspective, right? I mean, we sit here and we say, and I'm talking, this isn't me making a policy or anything like that, but we talk about how this idea of, like, we want USPSA to do this and that and this and that and this and that. And we say the same thing about government. Well, if they would do this and that, and then eventually you have this overbloated thing that doesn't really serve the needs of anybody. What if instead of that we say, I want USPSA to do these sorts of things, create a rule book, create a range officer course, and put on nationals, and I want them to do only those things. I want them to stay the F out of everything else. Do those three things excellent.
It's Robert's libertarian side coming out.
Well, here's
a little bit, right? But I mean,
I
was just kind of thinking about that when we were talking about, like, maybe I want to let the market, like T-Rex Arms or ACVR, whomever, I let them go do their thing excellent. And USPSA, you do your three things excellent and leave all the rest of the shit alone.
That would be a very valid and fair point. One, they are in the free market because there's other competitions that are growing that are doing it better. Two, they don't even do the basics right. They are an illegal corporation in the state of Delaware for not doing their shit. Like, they don't do that right. They don't have a budget right. They've been operating at a deficit. So they're doing all these things, and their answer to a lot of these things are slight rule changes or whatever, but it's just like, okay, you guys want more money? Go do the things that make you more money. You guys want to be more competitive and bring in new shooters? Do things that would bring in more shooters or have more engagement with you guys as an organization. Because my USPSA, every once in a while when I give a crap, I open up my USPSA app and I have to reinstall it or relog into it because it's been forever since I've been on that thing. And then
on the phone.
On the phone. And then sitting there on the website, it's like, how many times do I go on that? But I have to go on all these other. When I think about, I want to get better at shooting, I want to get better and do my career a whole lot better in shooting and do all that stuff. What do I get by going to USPSA? I get like nothing. So they're trying to we want to bring people in. It's like, okay, get your house in order. Once they get their house in order, what else are you going to do? It's just
it's kind of the classic idea of, like, where what does it say? Never offer a bald man a comb. I mean, focus on the things that you are required to do.
That's a saying?
That's a saying. It's totally a saying. But focus on the things that we want you to do and do those well, and then focus on other things.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we want them to do a range day, I just turned it on, the T-Rex Arms thing. If we want them to do something like that, I mean, that's great. But I want them to actually fix everything first, and then go work on something else.
Yeah.
Because right now, to be honest with you, USPSA doesn't really offer me any intrinsic value outside of a name, a rule book, and I'm going to be generous and say a classification system, but it's a big stretch right now. The classification system does need some work for what I need it to do.
Yeah.
Indoor stuff, right? I really need it better for indoor stuff.
USPSA has been in the pistol shooting game and training game for 30 years.
Wow.
Where? What is it? And now we want less executive ability. These people have an executive function deficit in like how this organization is run. And the answer is, we're just going to get rid of more executive places that have an actual defined goal of how to move this organization forward. And so we're going to have
unintended consequences.
We're going to have an area director, and all these area directors, whoever plays president, is like their primary thing is going to be like, keep the votes and keep the good graces of all the area directors and the employees. So if you go
Tommy,
counter
hang
that,
on
then
a
it's a
second.
problem.
Are you? So you know that the proposed bylaw is you're going to have all the area directors, and you'll also have basically a president, an executive president director that you also elect. So you'll have 2 elections.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, why not go back to like the Foley guidelines and just have like, I vote on a president. This president has powers to do stuff.
Because the president becomes their argument is because the president is an employee, and the employee has different employee protections, and the board has a harder time compelling the president to do X, Y, or Z
Yeah.
because they're an employee, and that's the really broad brush overview of what it is in that regard.
Yeah, well, like, good. Like, it's good that an executive of an organization or somebody else that's voted in has a healthy amount of fuck you to the people he's working with. Like, it always tends, because then they actually get to be a
Not
self-advocating
today,
person.
Satan.
Yeah, not today, say. Like, they actually get to be like an actual advocate for whoever they want to be, when they could be
Right.
like, no, thank you, I'm doing
See,
this.
that's why what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ignore all the USPSA stuff, and I'm just going to go help Jared with his not a cop match, because I know the guy in charge, and he's a lot easier to work for. It's really simple.
Yeah, he has a 100% control of that match.
Yeah, it works really, really well.
Yeah, it is fun to be around people and to do things with people who have high executive amounts of function, like high executive function, because they go like, no, I've already straightened out this stuff. I need you to do this, 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 and this, and then they go do it. But like when you're around with other people and like Jan doesn't want to do shit, but it's just like, Jan, well, you were supposed to do this. Well, I didn't have the help and support that I needed to go do this. It's like, okay,
Fuck you, Jan.
yeah, and then you just like
That's
looking
what-
around, and then like you get 4 Jans around, and then it's just like, well, what can get done? It's like, well, we just don't like the way that we've been talked to, and we would like to lower the amount of how we're being talked to. And so if we could strip the president of like this talk to power, then that would be great. But he's an employee, and we have a hard time telling him what to do. But if we could like change that, it's like, no, do your shit. Like I'm always surprised when productive people get held down by the non-productive people, and the answer is because like, well, kind of doing a lot, kind of wasn't making us feel good about our amount of function that we were doing. It's
But
like, okay,
I'm busy.
Stop making us look bad.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. Just do stuff. That's all I want from the organization. Just do stuff. Just do stuff. That's it.
Conversely, just leave me alone. Stop doing anything to make
Tom's
me think
just
about
watching USPSA be trapped inside its little kennel, and he's poking it with a stick, saying, "Do something.
Do some.
Do
I
something.
dare ya. I
Come
dare ya.
on.
Come at
Do
me, bro.
something.
Come
I'm
at
watching.
me, bro."
Do something."
And then they break out of the cages like in Resident Evil 2. Anyways, thanks for downloading, subscribing, and doing all that fun stuff you guys do for us, and we'll keep doing this for you. Check out the sponsors. Do all that. Dominate Defense, W74 Guide, Rods, Ring Tactical. Use the promo code PARA10 for all that stuff. And for Robert Wyatt and Jared Stepp,
Sign up for the match.
Sign up for Jared's match.
yeah, whether the gay match or the cop match. Either
what's
one,
the official name of the match, Jared?
Gay shit.
Gay shit. Search gay shit on Practiscore.
I
Because
should have that
all
as a
they hear it is called a gay. Yeah, don't put that in the search bar. Put that in the Practiscore search bar. What is the official name of the match so they can actually look at it?
Not a cop.
Not a cop match.
The name is the police match is the Utah Law Enforcement, or the UTLE Handgun Championship. The Not a Cop match is, there's the Not a Cop Handgun and there's the Not a Cop PCC. So it's the exact same match. We're just having the PCC guys shoot on their own day so they can not hurt our overall, and so that they can just have their own fun in their own little short bus and do their own thing over there by themselves.
Because we are so down with Plessy Ferguson, and separate but equal is pretty legit.
For Robert Wyatt and Jared Stepp, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Doot, doot.